talk about this, right? Because this will fire everybody up, right? Let's talk about sex. What is sex? Intercourse. What is sex? What is sex? A spiritual connection? A nut, huh? Yeah, what is sex?
Love.
Love? Okay. All right. So, a way of intimacy, right? So we say intercourse, a nut, a way of intimacy, a spiritual connection. What is sex? Pleasure. Okay. What is sex? A mystery. All right. So why would I be bringing this up in a domestic violence group? Why would I be talking about this? It can go too far. It can be abusive. It can be so we could say if one is abusive, they could be abusive around sex, right? Because if sex is nothing else, it's a need that we have, right? And so in trying to get our needs met, sometimes we can be abusive. Okay? I'm not accusing anybody in here of being abusive in that way, but I'm just saying that this is an area that we need to talk about if we're talking about abuse, right? So that we don't go to that place, right? So when does sex become abusive? Okay, so when someone tries to control another person, when does sex become abusive? When it's weaponized, huh? All right. What do you mean weaponized?
Well, if it's unwanted
Unwanted.
by one party and forced upon the other person, or if it's withheld as a weapon.
Okay, so if it's forced upon another person, so that means no consent.
Yeah.
And then if it's withheld by one person, it can become a weapon between the parties, right? Okay, so when does it become abusive? That's all good. When does it become abusive? Now wait a minute now. Does pulling hair mean that it's abusive?
You don't want it.
Well, if it's not consensual, right? But if two people can consent, and there can be an awful lot of roughhousing going on during sex. That's when it takes place. I mean, it's almost not fun unless there's some roughhousing going on that's consensual, right? And when I say roughhousing, what do I mean? Huh? Might be some choking, some slapping. It might be some what? Some spitting. Some spitting. It might be some what? What's going on? It might be some name calling, some cursing, right? Some noise making. Right. Whose is it? Whose is it, huh? I remember one time I was living in this place, and my next door, I wasn't having sex at the time, and my neighbor, I woke up, they were going at it. Ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah. And at first I was like, God damn it, would they knock it off? And then a little while later, I got into it. I was like, what? And then he started saying, whose is it? Whose is it? I know he didn't. And I was like, it's yours, dog. So we can have a lot of that going on, right? And it not be abusive, right? Or not be, as long as you got consent, right? Right? But so this is a big need we're trying to get met. And a lot of problems happen around this, right? Because what if one person is withholding? What does that mean? You get angry when one person is withholding. But what does it mean to have, let's just say her, when she withholds, what does that mean? She doesn't want to have sex. Right? What does it mean? What meaning do you place on that if she withholds sex? That's punishment, huh? And she could be punishing you, right? So we automatically go to a place of I'm angry. I think she's punishing me. Is that the only reason, though, why a woman withholds sex? She could be tired. What else? Well, why else could she withhold sex? She could be going through menopause. What else?
She'd be mad at you.
She'd be mad at you.
Yeah.
All right. Now it's interesting how we're answering this question. Have you noticed a pattern in how we answer it? And what we think about that? We automatically assume that something is wrong with her, almost, right? Or that she's mad at me. She doesn't necessarily have to be mad at me, or there doesn't necessarily have to be anything wrong with her for her to want to withhold sex. She can withhold sex just because she wants to, right? But she could also withhold sex because she's not ready to have sex. Not in the mood. Right? And I could label her not being in the mood. I could say that there's something wrong with her, and there might not even be anything wrong with her. She's just not in the mood. Remember, her sex drive isn't like mine. I can go from watching HBO to having sex like that. She might not necessarily be able to do that. And because I think that it's some mechanical act that she can just instantly bounce into, she can turn off. And that doesn't have anything to, that doesn't really have anything to do with her. You guys know what I mean? What about the, you always hear people saying this, what about the romance? What about the foreplay? What role does that play in it? Okay. So we could say to a certain degree, if we're, I don't want to make too broad a statement with this, right? But I want you to be aware of it, right? For a woman, sex without romance and foreplay is not fun for her. For many women. I can't say all women, right? And I want to make sure that if I'm seeking a sex from a woman, that I include romance and foreplay in it. That's how I make sure for myself that I'm not being abusive. Right? So what do I mean by romance and foreplay? What am I talking about? Yeah, now I'm setting the mood for sex. How do you do that? What does that mean, setting the mood for sex?
Make sure that it's a pleasant moment between the two of you, and that you have a mental connection, emotional connection going on before you go into the physical connection.
Okay, so you want to make sure that the environment is cool. You want to make sure, you want to increase safety, right? You want to make you feel safe. Women, if you don't feel safe, you kind of contract and you don't want to stretch out. And in order to have sex, what do you have to do? What does a woman have to do? Yeah, she has to open up. And who wants to open up if they feel like they're going to be attacked or harmed or something like that? That's not the first thing we want to do. We curl up. So we want to make sure that the mood is right. Right? Now, a part of the mood being right starts way before I start thinking about sex. When I say to get in the mood right, what could that include? Okay, it certainly includes soft music, candlelight, dinner. It could, right? For each person is a little bit different, right? But it should at least include me taking care of the stuff that she wants me to take care of, right? Yeah, taking that garbage out, washing some dishes. Now that do some laundry. That's foreplay to a woman. Yeah, you start doing that, she's going to be a lot more receptive. Because one of the reasons why she might not feel sexual is because she's tired. And so what do those kinds of, now look, intimacy, right? We put a lot of emphasis on talking. But men, we at a disadvantage with that. We don't talk that much, right? So I don't want you to be at a disadvantage. When we do nice things for her, right? That's a way of showing what?
Love.
Yeah, love, and that I care. You know, if when she comes home from work, dinner is already cooked. Look at those pots over there, right? That's saying, you know, I give a shit, right? If the kitchen is clean, the bathroom is clean, I run the vacuum cleaner, I made the bed, I've done some laundry. That's indicating something. I don't have to always talk about how much I care about you and that. A lot of times it's better if I don't say that. It's better if I rake the leaves or uh, uh, do some of the things, go to the grocery store and make sure stuff is in the house if I can, you know. Doing nice things. That's a part of the foreplay, right? A part of foreplay can be turning the television off. Now I'm giving her some attention as part of it, right? Right? And I want to do this before. You know, I don't want to, I don't want to like make it such a boom, 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 boom. This means that means, this means this, so that means that. I mean that I should be like in a state where I'm going to have to do these things for myself anyway. I have to do laundry anyway. I have to cook meals anyway, right? So I don't need to like just do that when I want sex, in other words. Right? But keeping an atmosphere. In recovery, they talk about an atmosphere of recovery in the room, right? We maintain an atmosphere here where we can say what we need to say. We can interact with each other. We don't feel afraid of each other. Nobody's criticizing the other person. That's an atmosphere, right? We need that, right? So now, who does this improve sex for when we do those kinds of things? Yeah, this is in your best interest, right? This is in your best interest, right? So, you know, a lot of how is sex performed? What's the biggest, what's the thing that we use in sex? How is sex communicated? Or how is it, I'm trying to get you to think of something. And I'm not doing a good job, all right? Yeah. What are we using during sex? Our bodies, right? So the body is communicating something, right? And sometimes it's not a whole lot of words, you know, but I'm communicating something, right? And the way that I'm communicating it is through my body. And this goes back. Remember when we were talking about one system becoming two systems, right? The first communication, is through what? Yeah, the body. Contact with the skin, you know, being held, being hugged. A hug will do you some good at this age and in your adult age. A hug will do you some good. We still like that kind of stuff. Most of us. There might be some people that don't, but it's through the body that we communicate a lot of things. This is important. I used to think in the couples work, I used to think that if I could help a couple stop being abusive, that would improve the relationship. But what I'm learning now is that I got to go for this. I got to improve the sex between people. We have sexual relationships. The reason why we're coming together, why? Why are we with the person that we're with? One reason is so that we can have sex. Whether we're going to create a family or whether we're going to, if there's anything wrong with that, the whole relationship is going to be off. We got to improve that. And we're sitting in an excellent position. We're in a great position to improve it because the best way to improve sex is to decrease abusiveness. That's the best way to do it. Don't be so abusive. You know, so what is foreplay? Foreplay is a compliment. Foreplay is a smile. Foreplay is warmth. Foreplay is fun. That's foreplay. I mean, who doesn't want this? I mean, who doesn't want those things? I mean, we want those things, right? That makes me feel closer to another person. When I'm able to take care of these needs, are we laughing together? Are we having a good time together? You know? And here's where we get into trouble. Men. We think that sex is all penetration. And we get in trouble. Why? Yeah, because well, for one, we don't do this. We don't take advantage of the other aspects of sex that can be highly enjoyable. And then what's the other problem? Huh? You got to eat it. but wait, we're going to come back to that. What's the other problem? What's the other problem? Well, one, huh? Yeah, we think that's it. But over the course of your life, right? That changes. That changes. That changes. You know why we buy so much Viagra? Cialis. Why? Why do we women don't buy it. We buy it. Why do we buy it? Right. Or to even be able to have the kind of sex that we associate with sex. We think sex is only penetration. That's the problem, and it sets us up for problems. Because when we can no longer have penetration, now what do we have? Yeah. Depression, right? No erotic life. Because since I can't penetrate, fuck it, I'm just going to kill myself now, right? So you're right. If you can't get it with your hips, you got to get it with your lips or something, right? And almost anything goes in sex, right? Anything goes as long as you have consent. Now, what we got to be careful of, though, is when we're having sex, we might have consent for vaginal sex, but we may not have consent for anything else. So if you have a moment where you're feeling good and all of a sudden you go to start doing some other stuff, she might be, whoa, wait a minute. And you don't have consent at that point, right? Yeah, if you're trying to act out some porn fantasy you've been looking at, right? You don't have consent for that. You're right. You might get this.
Where you learn that from?
Could you step out of the house, please? So we want to be careful, right? And what kind of consent do we want to get? What kind of consent? Not just consent, what kind? Yeah, kind of enthusiastic consent, right? Enthusiastic consent, that's what we want. Right, but we definitely want, at minimum, we want consent, but we really want enthusiastic consent. And one of the ways we get enthusiastic consent is taking care, like in basketball, they say playing without the ball. Right? Good basketball players play without the ball. They move, they're in the right spot, they understand the flow of the game. So that's what I'm trying to convince you to do around sex. Learn how to play without the ball, to do some of the other things that are required to make your partner feel more attractive, worthwhile, less tired, less hostile, less resentful, and watch it. In other words, be less abusive. Right? Easy way to do that is to stop being so self-centered. Right? Self-centered. Only thinking about myself. Only thinking about, because I can have sex. This is one of the things about men. I can have sex and only think about myself. I can certainly do that. But what ends up happening is I have less and less sex the more I think about myself. Because I'm not even, how do you know your partner is one, enjoying sex with you, and then how do you know that she's having an orgasm? How do you know that? How do you know? You just know. She says it. Well, how do you know? You got a dry spot to sleep on. How do you know? How do you know she's having a, how do you know she's having body language? Okay. How do you know? And those are all valid, right? But we really, I'm going to ask you to inquire, right? I'm going to ask you to inquire. I'm going to ask you to ask her. Don't just assume that you know, because women can fake it, right? And so my self-centeredness, my abusiveness, right, can render me disinterested in whether or not she's having a good time or not. It doesn't really matter to me whether she's having a good time or not. I'm having a good time, right? So it's a good idea. That's a level of communication that improves the sex. Most women don't have orgasm from penetration. There's a few. They need direct clitoral stimulation. And the best way to do that is orally, right? Right. So it'd be kind of interesting when you're involved with somebody to ask the question, when do you feel most excited? Wouldn't that be an interesting thing to know? When do you enjoy this the most? What am I doing that you don't enjoy so much? What do I do that you enjoy a lot? These are the same questions we can ask during sex that we can ask when we're not having sex. What am I doing that you like a lot around here? Well, I like it when you run the damn vacuum cleaner. I like it when you wash a few dishes. I like it when you pick up after yourself. What am I doing that you don't like so much? I don't like it when you don't listen. I don't like it when I can't talk to you. I don't like it when you raise your, she'll tell you. We got to be able to communicate. And that communication is going throughout the relationship, including sex. I'm not just abusive one place. I'm abusive every place in terms of my relationship, right? So remember, right? I want to improve you guys' happiness. That's the number one thing I want you to be able to do, is be happier when you leave here than when you came in. I'm talking about over the course of our work together. Because if I can improve your happiness, I think I can decrease your abusiveness. Right? I think it'll just go away. Some of the problems that you're having will go away if you're not so unhappy. So if everybody in here can improve the quality of their sex with their partner, I think we'd be better off. Now, what kills the sex drive? What kills it for you? Negativity, right? Negativity will kill the sex drive. What else kills your sex drive? I'm going to say something that's not so obvious. Love. Love will kill it. Why am I saying that? You looking at me like, what the hell? Why am I saying that? Huh? Might love something else? Why is love such an issue? What is love, though? When we love somebody, what is that? What does that mean? Now look, showing affection that with Karen, right? So when two people come together, we don't know each other. You're a mystery to me, right? I don't know you. I want to know you. I take one look at you, and the first thing I think, I don't ever say this, but the first thing I think is, you're fuckable. That's the first thing I think, right? I mean, come on, right? Would you or wouldn't you, right? So now our inside joke is, would you? Right? That's one of the first things I'm thinking, right? Because my relationship is a sexual relationship. Right? I might like you. I might like the fact that you're intelligent. I might like the fact that you do this and that. But the one thing that drives us closer to women, or our sex partners, is the notion of having sex, right? But now I don't know you, right? Now, love wants to know every goddamn thing. What you're thinking, where you're going, right? And so when I get there, it's just like a slow process of getting closer together until now we're One. Right? We're one. Now the problem, what's the problem with that? Yeah, this no, this is a notion. We can never become one, but like in the Bible, we become one. We become evenly yoked. You guys might not be religious, but this is where we get this stuff from. That, yeah, that's one of the problems. Right, right. Now we know each other so good that now I'm just phoning it in. I look over. You want to have sex? No, let's watch ABO. No, I don't want to have sex. You know what I mean? Hand me the remote control. Shit. That, right? Where I don't, and that's not just true with my partner. That's true with everything, right? When I first get that new car, it's got a lot of shine to it. It smells great. After I drive it 6 months or so, I'm looking out the window at other new cars. I get used to it. I habituate. So now at that point, I'm no longer really that interested in what I have. I'm interested in the new thing, right? And that is a type of love that can kill the eroticism in the relationship, the romantic energy in the relationship. I don't do the same things anymore that I used to do. Because she knows me now. She may even be, I may even be going to the closet and pulling out clothes and doing it. Baby, how does this look? How you think I look in there? And she's dressing me now. I'm not even dressing myself. And she got me looking like a 12-year-old or something. You know what I mean? No, I'm teasing, right? But I'm not blaming her for that, right? I'm just talking about love, right? What love can foul it up. So what we want to try to do, right, and this is kind of hard, we want to try to keep some distance. What does fire need? Air. That's according to Esther Perel. I'm reading this. That's why I'm bringing this up. It needs air. It needs distance. In order for me to be desirous, you need to have some mystery, right? I don't want to know everything about you. You need to have some damn privacy. But love says, no, you don't need privacy. I need to know everything. I need to look at your Facebook wall. I need to have the keys to the this and that, your phone. And that's love, right? And it kills it. It takes the energy right out of it.
Where you going?
Yeah, right, right. Now, but now, wait a minute, wait now. We're sounding as though, where you going when you're coming back, we're sounding as though they're the only ones, women are the only ones that feel like that. But I want to invite you to look at your own insecurity, right? My own dependence, my own thoughts and feelings about privacy in my relationship with her having some privacy. See, one of the things that takes this out of it for a woman is she really is not allowed. She don't have the same freedom in the relationship that I have. Who can leave the house? Me? I'm going to the store. What? I'm going out with the fellas. Huh? Kids, dishes, laundry. Huh? I'll be back in a couple hours. I'm going to go watch the game. That's a subtle form of abuse. We don't even think about it. Huh? I'm going to go play some softball. I'm going to go do some coaching. All socially acceptable, but can be a downer in your relationship with your partner. I can leave. Huh? I don't have to say nothing. So all I'm saying is we want to give her a chance to get out and do some stuff too. But my insecurity can prevent that from happening. Why are you wearing that dress? I don't want them around the house. Who you hanging out with? That. And look, she knows. She knows that. She might not even be saying anything to you, but she knows it. In the private conversations that I have, see, because I'm working with the couples, in the private conversation that I'm having with her, she's saying to me, his behavior is so bad when I want to go out, I don't even say anything anymore. He calling me. I remember I used to do women's groups. one thing that was interesting about the women's group is that each woman would get a phone call at 12:01. The phones would start going off in the room at 12:01. No. Where you at? When you coming home? That. 12:01. They starting to get phone calls. I'll be there. You know, that's what she's saying, right? So it's my insecurity that can create, that can drown out, that can, you know, and I'm calling it love, I'm calling it care, but that can kill the sex drive. My behavior is really the thing that may be killing the sex drive. Right? So here's a rule, right? When things go good, I take credit. When things go bad, I place blame. Yeah. So if anything is going wrong in your life, it may be something out here that's creating a problem for you. It may be, but I would have you look at the part that you're playing in it, right? Right. That's what we're here for, just to look at the part that we're playing. Now, we might only be playing 1%, but that 1% changes the whole thing. Find our part. What's our part in it? Right? So we want a little distance, right? Want a little distance. Now, one of the ways I'm trying to help you gain a little distance is in the 10-minute meditation that we have at the beginning of the group. Distance, right? So I'm trying to encourage you to come back in from the world and just come back home and relax. Just relax. Create some distance between you and what's bothering you, you and what's going on. Just relax and breathe. Calm down, right? Bring down your insecurity, right? Bring down your hostility. Bring down whatever's going on with you, just bring that down to create some space between you and it a little bit. You know, it's still going on. It's not going away, but you don't have to cling to it. You don't have to be desperate with it. Just take some time to reflect. I'm getting some help with the back end of the business. You know, I'm not very good with the accounting piece, right? And the first thing that the person said is you need time to reflect. And that's basically saying you need time to meditate. Because with time to reflect, you can think about the big picture. You know, you're not so caught up. You need some time to think about where this business is going. To think about what you want to accomplish. To just relax and not get so caught up. So some time to reflect. So each party needs some privacy. Right? And I don't need to be threatened by her privacy or her needs. I don't need to be threatened by that. You know, that's one thing, you know, is being I am an abusive person, right? But one thing I'm very proud of is that's not affecting my relationship like it used to. This current relationship I'm in, I'm glad that I'm not insecure in that way. But you got to do the work, though. I'm still insecure, but not in that way. I don't act it out the same ways, right? But I'm still insecure. That shit has not gone away. I'm still scared of everything, right? But it's like I don't punish her for that. So we talk about a responsible suffering. Right? Responsible suffering. It's not her fault that I feel like that. It's not her fault that I deal with my emotions the way that I deal with them, right? And that's my stuff to deal with. And your life is you know, sex and everything else is not going to get better until you take responsibility for your emotional life. Right? So we're trying to improve sex. What improves sex? What mechanically, what makes sex better? Being in shape, right? What else? Both people know what they want, right? Or even, now that's a good point, when both people know what they want. But even if you don't know what you want, to be able to just say that. You know, I'm willing to experiment. I'll try some stuff. I'll tell you if it's working or not, right? Right. Well, she might not, just because you don't like chicken doesn't mean you don't like fish, right? So we negotiate. We got to find some stuff. I don't like everything, but there's some things I like, right? And I need to be able to say that. And that changes. One day I like something, the next day I might not like the same. My taste changes. But one thing that makes sex fun is being playful, not being so damn serious. If you make sex a production, a a uh, a goal. If you goal oriented in it, that's gonna take the fun out of it. Let's find out what's fun. Right, right. That's fun. Try some new things in it, right? Try to have. Oh, here's your homework, right? Here's your homework, right? Have sex without penetration. That's your homework. Have sex without penetration. Well, you do whatever you want to do, but have sex without penetration, right? And let's just see. I challenge you. Try that, right? I mean, sex is fun. It should be fun, right? So I want you guys to have fun. There's your homework. We'll see who turns that assignment in. All right. So it's just an area, right? That we can probably improve in. Right? We don't take ourselves so seriously if it's not so goal oriented. If we take our time, right? They stop whatever they stop having sex. A lot of times people get depressed. A lot of times, the grumpiness and the irritability is a part of depression, right? A lot of times I stop. The reason why we dress, right, is I want to look attractive to someone. I want to feel alive. I like to get some compliments. I'd like to feel like somebody wants me, right? So if I'm not having sex, there's no need for that anymore. And I just can, I can give up on life, right? So sex is important. It's important throughout the lifespan, too, not just when you're 20. It's important to enjoy sex. And it's in different forms at different points in your life. And it's not all about penetration, but it is about the romance, the pursuit, the desire, keeping those things going. That's, in order to have a good life, those are some things we need to pay attention to. In order to have fun and feel enjoyable. We want to talk about that. We want to improve that, right? And so again, going back to why we're here, in order for us to improve our sex life, work on being less abusive. Because the abuse is going to take place. I'm no longer giving compliments. I'm no longer smiling. I'm not warm. I'm not fun. I'm not carrying my share of the housework. I'm angry. I'm bitter. And then I might add some violence to it. But the violence is pretty rare. It's rare to hit somebody, but more likely I'm verbally abusive. I'm psychologically abusive. That's going to be the main place where, if we looked at it like, abuse like that, the physical stuff is going to be right there, but under it is a whole bunch of emotional and verbal. Now the question is, what if she's not doing her part? Okay? What do you guys think about that? Because that's a valid question. Well, now that's a good point that you're making. We both have to work on it. Well, look, you guys are here, right? You guys are here. So you're getting something that not too many people are getting. Yeah, a chance to talk about this stuff. You're becoming educated. You're becoming aware of some things that she might not be aware of. Now remember, you met up with her prior to coming here, right? So you can't expect her to know what you know and you're coming here. You can't expect her to know that. So what I would say to you is be careful making your behavior dependent on hers. Right? We got to do the right thing no matter what anybody else does. We got to be less abusive. right? And a part can change the whole. One part, you know, one part. We change that 1%, our part, it can change your whole relationship. I can introduce new things to the relationship. I can set a good example. I can encourage her to make some changes. She can observe me making changes. Right? If I change, she has to change. I don't even have to ask her to change. I've changed. Right? But I got to learn how to trust that. That's why we will have you coming so long, so you can trust the changes that you're making. Right? You don't have to depend on her to change. She's going to change. So, some things are always changing. There's nothing permanent, right? But what I want us to pay attention to is the level, the underlying level of emotional and verbal abuse in our relationship. Decrease that and watch the enjoyment and the sex change. Right? Watch that. Based on the experience, based on a lot of men coming through here, based on the problems that I see that we have, I think that if we get more bang for our buck if we learn how to be less abusive. I don't know even if your relationship is going to last. I don't know if she's going to like you if you're not drinking a 6-pack a night. She might not even like you if you come here talking about, baby, you know, I think I got a problem with alcohol. You're like, what? Give me a beer. Let's see if we can figure out what's wrong. Right? She might not even like you if you're not yelling and screaming. You know, you know, the abuse in the relationship may be taking the place of this. You know, the only attention I get is negative attention from her. So it might be taking the, you know what I mean? So nobody knows if she's even going to like the fact that you change. You could be put in what I call double jeopardy. They don't like you when you're abusive, and they don't like you when you change either. So you can't do it for anybody else. You got to do it for you and give them a chance to adjust to the new you. They're not going to trust that you've even changed initially.